In the last video, we got our latitude down into our season display component. So now the only other thing we have to do is figure out the current month, and then use the latitude and the month to decide if it is summer or winter. Now getting the month is actually going to be pretty straightforward. If you open up a JavaScript console really quickly, you can do new date dot get month, like so. That's going to return an integer indicating the current month of the year. Note that this is a 0 index date, so 10 would indicate the 11th month of the year. So for me right now, I'm recording this in November. So 10 would mean November. To put numbers to all these different months, this is what you would get. So we start off with 0 month as being January, 1 is Feb, and over here 10, like I said, would be November. Now we're going to kind of simplify our season determination here. We're going to say that if we are between April and September, then it's going to be summer, indicated by these orange boxes for the Northern Hemisphere. But if our user is in the Southern Hemisphere and it is between January, February, March, or October, November, December, then we're going to say that it's summer for them down there. All right, so now that we have these rules in mind, let's flip back over to our editor. And we're going to put together a little bit of code to essentially determine the current season as a string. So I want to end up with a simple string that says summer or winter. I'm going to define a new function above my component season display, whose sole purpose is to determine what the season is. Now I could definitely put the code for this inside the body of season display, but personally I like to extract as much logic out of functional components as possible. So up here, I'm going to say get season. And this is going to be a function that we'll call with the current latitude and the current month. Now, before we put any logic inside there, let's make sure that we will be able to call that function from inside of the season display component. I will remove the console log, and then I will say const season will be get season. I'll pass in my latitude, which is stored on props.lat. And then to get the month, we'll do a new date.get month, like so. Okay, so now our getSeason function is going to get the current latitude and the month. So now we can write a little bit of logic in here to return either the string summer or the string winter. Sorry, I'm reading summer and winter on my screen right now as I say those words. Okay, so inside of here, there's a ton of different ways we could write this logic. I've got one way of writing the logic that's fairly compact and somewhat easy to read. So I'm going to say if the month is greater than 2, and the month is less than 9. So that would indicate that we are in this group of months right here. So then we will determine whether or not we are in a Northern Hemisphere location, in which case it would be summer, or we are in Southern, in which case it would be winter. So to do so, we're going to use a JavaScript ternary expression. We'll do so by saying lat is lat greater than 0. If it is, that means that we must be in the Northern Hemisphere. I'll then put in a question mark. If we are in the Northern Hemisphere, then I want to return the value summer. Otherwise, I want to return the value winter, like so. So again, this is a JavaScript ternary expression. This expression right here will be evaluated. If it returns true, then we're going to return summer from the overall expression. Otherwise, if lat is less than 0, then we will return winter instead. So the logic here is somewhat straightforward. If we are in the summer months and we are in the Northern Hemisphere, return summer, otherwise return winter. And I'm going to make sure that I put on a return statement like so. So now we're going to return the result of this entire ternary expression. Now this right here is only going to handle the summer months. So I'm going to put in an else case, and then we'll put in basically the same ternary expression here. So this would now be the case in which we are in the months January, February, March, or October, November, December. So once again, we need to determine if we are in the Northern Hemisphere or Southern Hemisphere, and then return the appropriate string. So I will return lat less than 0, and then this time we're going to reverse the order of months. So now if we are in the Northern Hemisphere during the winter months, that must mean we are in winter. Otherwise, we must be in the Southern Hemisphere, in which case we are in summer. All right, like I said, many different ways to write out this expression right here. This is just one way that seems somewhat reasonable and somewhat easy to put together. So now, to make sure that that is working correctly, I'm going to put a console log for season down inside my component, and then I will refresh my application and make sure that the correct season is being displayed. So I currently have winter, which for me is actually correct. It is winter here because I'm in the northern hemisphere and it is the winter months. To test this out very easily, I could change my hard-coded geolocation or the geolocation override down here. So I will say that I am in Sao Paulo, which is in the southern hemisphere. And so now if I refresh, I should see summer, and in fact, I do. All right, so that looks pretty good. So we now have our season. The last thing we have to do is do a little bit of styling inside of our season display component. So quick pause, and we'll start to take care of that in the next video.